Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this video we're looking into the case of the serial killer's blog. It's exactly what it sounds like. This is the story of Joseph E. Duncan III, who currently sits on death row. He has kept an online blog by the name of The Fifth Nail since shortly before he was arrested, detailing his experiences growing up, his crimes, and his time in prison. So, without further ado, let's just jump head first into Crazy Town. Let's start with the backstory of the man in question, Joseph Duncan. He has a hell of a long history of being an extremely dangerous sexual predator and killer. In 1963, he committed his first act in 1978. He sexually assaulted a 9-year-old. Dominating! Joseph was 15 years old at the time. After being arrested the following year for driving a stolen car, he was sent to juvenile detention. There, he told the therapist he sexually assaulted over a dozen boys. In 1980, he was arrested again after, you guessed it,
killing spree,
young boy, and was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but was released after 14 for good behavior. That in 1996 he murdered 2 girls, and in 1997 he murdered a 10-year-old boy. However, at the time, these cases were unsolved. It was only uncovered he was the
no life for 4 minutes. Pistols headshot only. Dominating.
In March 2005, he was charged with molesting 2 boys in Minnesota.
Killing spree.
$1,000. However, a lawyer Joseph knew helped him post bail. In April, he skipped town and disappeared. But this next incident is what put him behind bars for good and got him on death row.
Dominating!
There was kind of an eerie stillness about the residence. And as I walked up to the front door, I saw the blood on the front door.
In May 2005, police discovered the bodies of 40-year-old Brenda Groeney, her boyfriend Mark Kennedy, and her 13-year-old son Slade in their home in Idaho. 2 of Brenda's other children, Dylan and Shasta, were missing. Autopsies determined the cause of death to be blunt trauma to the head, and that the victims had been bound. Seven weeks later, in July, Shasta was seen at a Denny's restaurant in the company of an unknown man. Staff at Denny's noticed Shasta as they had seen her face on missing persons flyers. Police arrived and they arrested the man she was with, Joseph Duncan. 2 days later, Shasta's brother Dylan, who was also missing, his remains were found at a campsite in Montana. He had been killed by a shotgun blast.
Dominating!
Shasta and Dylan actually have a good time while being kidnapped by Duncan. And so
killing
Duncan
spree.
got the death penalty, which seems agreeable.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Confessed killer Joseph Duncan will be executed for the kidnapping and murder of Dylan Groeney.
The Boise jury took just 3 hours to decide his fate today, sentencing him to death. Prosecutors closing arguments this morning, painting Duncan as a danger to society, even if he was in prison.
Now, the incidents I just spoke of, they're the ones Joseph is known to be responsible for.
Monster kill.
A dozen other cold cases, which he is believed to be responsible for. There's just not enough evidence to link him to them. And now we get into his blog. Blogging the Fifth Nail. Spicy name. The name, it comes from Jesus, he was nailed to the cross with 4
Dominating!
Supposedly, the Romans, I don't know. The first post was on Saturday, January 3rd,
Killing spree.
2004. It's pretty mundane in parts, though he does show a keen knowledge of the prison system. Really, all it is showing his side of the story. Not that, though, you know, after all he's done, people really give a shit, but it's interesting nonetheless. The comments are, well, once people found this website after he was arrested, you can imagine. On Saturday, the 31st of January 2004, he wrote, "This blog is my connection to who I am and who I am becoming. It is a way for me to connect to who I was, so I can better understand who I will become. Just like the guy in the movie The Butterfly Effect, I can't explain, so why do I even try? Because I know what I know, and that is all anyone."
No life for 5 minutes.
Following post
Pistols
literally describes the
only.
day in his life, minute by minute. It's disturbing to note that, according to his diary, serial killers, they also have trouble with the snooze button on their alarm clocks, but, well, there you go. At one point, he writes, "Police car in front of me at a stoplight. I noticed I'm not as nervous as they used to be going behind a police car. I marvel for a moment about how much time the officer must spend concerning himself with registration laws when he could be doing something else. I wonder if you recognize him.
Dominating!
Likely, probably doesn't even consciously see me behind him, just heading back to the station, probably not even aware I exist. That thought makes me feel better." He also has a real problem when a Texas judge ruled sex offenders require warnings on their license plates, saying, "That is a headline I found on the internet just now. Some states require ex-sex offenders to inspect their license. This whole registration thing is getting more and more like Nazi Germany all the time. If someone were to propose a law like Megan's Law back in the 1940s, that person would have been spat upon as a Nazi sympathizer."
I thought this was America!
What else does he write? Oh, some god-awful poetry. Has an issue with the term sex offender. I think he thinks it's a bit discriminatory. He actually spends quite a bit of time trying to defend sex offenders. Crime, NAMBLA.
Dominating!
He writes about his cats, his dreams, expresses his annoyance that Google isn't indexing his website properly as he's not getting enough hits. Thank God YouTube wasn't around at this time. He's also not a fan of taxes, which is ironic considering
Killing spree.
He kind of goes on, blah blah blah, pretty mundane. He spends most of the time just feeling sorry for himself. But his next post, "A friend of mine pointed out that I spend too much time dwelling on my past, sex offense 25 years ago, and she offered this blog as evidence. She said I was also very negative, likewise evidenced in this blog. Wow. She is obviously correct, and it bothers me that I hadn't seen this before. Not that I'm really negative inside, I'm really not. I love my life, and I believe genuinely that God does not make mistakes, and there is nothing wrong about the way things are. I know from ongoing personal experience that my struggle to know the truth is God's gift to me. His gift can be acknowledged and recognized, but it can never be lost or possessed. So I truly am a happy person on a level where being happy really counts." That was posted in March 2005, 2 months before he would go to Idaho, murder 3 people and kidnap 2 children. On May 11th, a few days before he would kill again, he wrote that the demons had taken over. To be more specific, I'm scared, alone, and confused, and my reaction is to strike out toward the perceived source of my misery, society. My intent is to harm society as much as I can.
Dominating!
As you can imagine, people commented that. That was the last entry on that blog. That was the last entry on that blog. He is still writing. Fifth Nail Exposed. Confessions. The earliest post to this was in 2010. He had been in prison 5 years at this point. It's
Dominating!
called The Real Story and is a series of corrections to a newspaper article.
Killing spree.
Telling what really happened in his own words. well, I mean, according to him, I don't think anybody would have any sympathy for him is what he's saying after all the shit he's done. He promotes himself as someone who was the victim of a lot of situations and a citizen when he wasn't in trouble. This new blog details his life in prison, stories that could or could not be complete bullshit. The most recent updates to this were in January 2019, when he goes into detail regarding the murder he committed in 1997, the murder of Anthony Martinez. It is an extremely disturbing read, minus 100 out of 10, would not recommend. This is followed by another post in March 2019, telling the story of how he was on the run after Martinez's murder, and his attempt to get into Mexico, which was unsuccessful. So, how is he updating this blog to this very day? No one really knows he doesn't have access to a computer in prison. The most recent...
No life for 3 minutes! Second round weapons!
Who is that? We don't know. The earlier posts were done by the user
Killing spree.
That is until 2014 when Agent Cooper took over. It hypothesized that the letters he is sending from prison
Rampage.
What sicko is doing it, that's unknown. The blurb of the website states, "The history of our world is infinitely more important to the understanding of why I did what I did than my personal history will ever be. That being said, I present here as much of my past as I honestly can, to be taken in proper context, so that perhaps we might someday be able to stop repeating our histories together." That's a bit rich coming from a serial killer. By the way, he also has 2 other blogs, both updated by Agent Cooper. The Fifth Nail Exposed Chronicles details his life in prison. That was last updated on April 21st, 2019, where he talks about how he learned to shave. Also, The Fifth Nail Exposed Letters, last updated on April 24th, 2019, where he replies to comments. The most recent entry being how someone commented on his blog, essentially calling him out for trying to philosophize murder and child abuse. The beginning of which goes, "When I read comments like this, it only reminds me of how limited and shallow most people's perspectives are. They only see as far as is necessary in order to form an opinion, and then no further. In this case, Spinner, 1980, has failed to see beyond the hype of the immediate victim, and thus cannot grasp the deeper concepts which I've attempted to discuss throughout this blog that are only too painfully real and obvious for someone who can see without the need to judge and condemn that which they fear and understand. They are afraid to see within themselves the very thing they condemn in others." The patronizing and condescending and arrogant tone of that is really all you need to know about Joseph Duncan. Joseph Duncan is serving consecutive sentences of life without parole, as well as being sentenced to death in a United States penitentiary in Indiana. Psychiatrists diagnosed Duncan with sadistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder and narcissistic traits, but state that he is legally sane.
Dominating!
They clearly haven't read his blog. Though the fact that he is declared sane, or is sane, that makes it so much worse. Links down below if you want to take a gander. Wouldn't recommend. Thank you so much for watching. I really
Killing
If
spree.
you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And I'll see you as always real soon in the next video. Thanks again, Mike out.
No life for 14 minutes! Normal deathmatch! Dominating!
What do you suppose is in here?
I'm not looking in there.
Well, really?
I don't know what the fuck that is. This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we discussed the horrifying Ketty Cabin murders. We're actually going to go visit the former Cabin 28. It's been since demolished. Strap in, because this one is rough. Yeah, this is gross.
I'm aware of some details of this, and it's yucky.
That's something like a toddler says when they like this.
also something an adult says about a gruesome, gruesome murder.
I guess so. Let's get into it. On April 12, 1981, California, the Sharp sleep in cabin 28 in the Ketty Resort Lodge. What occurred next would shock the county and is a crime that is still actively being worked on today. 4 people sleeping in the house were brutally murdered. Ketty. Side of this horrible murder. Running into town to see people. I'm not a gambling man, but I don't really like those odds.
Because they've never caught this person? Would that be,
Yeah, so we could conceivably run into this guy, you know, taking a dump in the woods.
Are we gonna try to
You out of your mind? Which way do I go? Left. Oh boy.
Dominating!
Debris from the house. The house was demolished around 10 years ago because there were squatters and people like us that would come inside the house. It looks like... Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Look at that. It's like tile from the bathroom right there.
pretty quick?
Yeah, but I didn't see it up close until... Oh my god. Fucking horrifying.
There's an
Rubble of one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time, and you're looking at the fucking deer in the forest. As mentioned before, 4 people were killed in Ketty, 3 of which were found dead inside cabin 28. Their bodies were found by Sheila Sharp. Her family had slept at a friend's cabin next door. Sheila found the bodies of her mother, Sue Sharp, her 15-year-old brother, Johnny Sharp, and Johnny's friend. Sheila's 12-year-old sister, Tina, was murdered, but her remains would be found at a different time, a fact that we'll touch on later. The sister of the people who got murdered here, the next morning she walks in, finds most of her family brutally murdered. She was staying at
Yeah.
cabin 28 is right here, and that's where she found the body of her brother.
knowing that there was just...
Strangely, Sheila's 2 younger brothers, Ray, age 5, and Rick, age 10, were found in the asleep and safe. In the same room, also found asleep and safe, was the boy's friend, Justin Smart. When you look at the scene of the crime, it's tough to fathom how they could have slept through such a tragedy. It's very hard for me to believe that 3 people could have been asleep.
cabin.
Dominating!
I don't think they were. That's not what it is.
That's what it was for me, telling ghost stories.
Yeah, I think that's what that is. Do you tell ghost stories after sex?
That's for me, my girlfriend now. Maybe.
A cigarette?
Let me tell you about the Johnny, Dana, and Sue were all bound to some degree by electrical wiring. These weapons were found at the scene.
Dominating!
Steak knife found on the floor, a bloodied butcher knife, and claw hammer on a small wooden table near the entryway to the kitchen. Walls and ceiling, suggesting the kind of force used. Stabbed them so hard, the knife.
I think people get a little too hung up on that. It's not hard to bend a knife, right? You ever dip into a thing of ice cream
All
with a
I'm
spoon?
saying is there was a considerable amount of
Ice cream can bend a spoon.
so I could get a nice clean scoop.
That's just smart.
It does look like this is pretty central to all the houses. So you would think that there'd be at least one witness. There was so much blood everywhere, and there was such force within the murders themselves. There was blood splattered on the ceilings, the walls. Whoever did this had to be covered in blood.
Yeah.
Dominating!
It's like, that's the forest. You see someone running through the forest covered in blood, you're not going to... That's work.
That's not how the forest works.
You see someone in the forest, why are you covered
Well, I'm
in
not
blood?
gonna stop him, but maybe I'll like take a good look at what he looks like. Good. I'm glad to know that it used to be the worst of all time. Here's some background on and her children. Left a broken and abusive marriage and was described as a quiet woman who loved her. Amy soon moved her kids to the Keddie area, where they lived in relative poverty. Let's return to the body of one Sharp sibling missing from the cabin. Tina's skull would eventually be found due to an anonymous tip called into the police. Anniversary. The skull was found 15 miles away. Aside from the time, what's truly dubious, the caller identified the skull as Tina's. But how could the caller?
Because the caller was the murderer.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Oh, you were phrasing it in a dramatic way.
It's creepy. What is it about killers that they want to get? They want to get as close to being caught. I guess I'm not.
I can. I think some of them want to.
Oh, looks like you're not good enough detective. Alone.
Literally.
Of which there were really only two, except Marty Smart and his roommate, Bobo Betty, who lived 2 cabins down from the Sharps. Let's go over a possible motive. Marty Smart was married to Marilyn Smart.
Dominating!
Who was one of the kids that was found alive and well. Was reportedly an abusive Sue Sharp had been counseling Marilyn. Finding out about Sue's interference with his marriage, he went ballistic about it. Marty reportedly left for Reno, Nevada soon after the murders. Law enforcement at the time thought that the killer was, quote, more than one person, end quote. Hence them throwing Marty's roommate Bo, who was an ex-con,
Equals a lot for one person to kill silently.
So yeah, they were all pals, and they were friends with this boy named Justin Smart. They were all sleeping in the same room in this cabin, and they were the ones left alone. And this dad is the suspect. Marty Smart, dad of Justin Smart, the son, and the other 2 Sharp boys were sleeping in the same room. That's why.
So they may have only killed the killer because they were in the room with his son.
Despite there being much more to this case, at the time, strangely stopped there. There was evidence that seemingly and people of interest may have not been vetted properly. The father, the friend of the Sharps that was also killed, said in 2001 that the police had, quote, stumbled over each other and fouled up the case, thinking, as many suspect may have been involved in a cover-up. They're all closely knit friends.
Well, I don't think they're great friends.
Murdered. Getting some of them must be friends.
Yeah. If I can imagine any of my friends murdered.
I can imagine one friend being murdered. No.
Oh.
Former Sheriff Doug Thomas, who was sheriff at the time of the murder, is accused of a cover-up in many online theories. In close friends to Marty Smart, Sheriff Thomas did say that he gave one session of advice to the Smart couple.
Dominating!
Smart does not relate with her husband Marty and the sheriff, but said that the two were not friends to her knowledge. So, Marilyn Smart, a conspirator. The scariest thing about this is I'm
spree.
By the police department.
Police in the 70s, like 70s and 80s police. Oh, you murdered someone? 40 bucks.
Former sheriff recently addressed shortage of suspects. But suddenly now, everybody 35 years old have all figured out what happened, and that all of the investigating
Dominating!
it's laughable is what it is. Was not a friend of mine. At one point, he and his wife were having marital problems. He came to my office when I was sheriff and wanted me to counsel them. End quote.
Was he like...
It's a small town. I can't imagine there's a practicing.
It just seems like a weird thing if you're having marital troubles.
Well,
Let's take this to the police.
I guess.
Maybe they'll help us. Mend us, Sheriff.
In 2013, the case was reopened by current Sheriff Greg Hagwood and Mike Gamberg, both of whom had personal connections to the victims of the case. Here's what Sheriff Hagwood had to say about the police cover-up theory. Quote, "It has brought to light some amazing timelines, histories, and what some may call coincidence. Others may look at it more accusingly. I don't put anything outside the realm of possibility. Let's go over some interesting new developments brought on by the reopening of the case. The first development happened when Gamberg organized boxes of case reports and evidence from the case that had been shoved aside. What he found was a letter written by Marty Smart, his wife, reportedly written soon after the case. It reads, quote, "I believe the price is low, and now that I've bought it with 4 people's lives, you tell me we..."
So why would she want him to murder people?
The theory before had mentioned that they were going through problems. Sue Sharp had tried to counsel them. He saw it as her meddling with his marriage. He got annoyed by it too. There must be something else here because that's pretty strong evidence.
Right.
He could.
I do sort of like the language here, though. You tell me it's true. Great. What else do you want? For you? Now what?
Clearly, she's the jerk in this one.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Oh, so I'm the psycho because I murdered 4 people.
Oh, because I murdered 4 people. Ruined that perfectly good knife.
Marilyn doesn't recall receiving the letter. However, she did recognize her ex-husband Marty's handwriting. So this must be why he's not indicted, because maybe they can't make it absolute that it is his handwriting indeed.
What, the police were just writing fanfic?
Yeah, what the fuck is this? It was maybe, unless someone wanted to implicate him in the murder. Also, but it was an indictment.
No life for 4 minutes. Headshot only.
The second development was something also found in those boxes. An anonymous phone call that tipped off the location of the remains of the audio of that 911 call is now being compared with audio of suspects looking for a match, though worth mentioning that the tape was never utilized at the time. Here's current investigator Sheriff Hagwood on that tape. Quote, "Why that sat in a sealed
Dominating!
and never opened, I don't have the answer to that, but we have it now." This is just baffling. It was remotely possible of helping them solve the case. They were like, box it up.
Over it. They have to put the thing to bed. Right the wrongs, bring
Dominating!
their job. Can you imagine how much paperwork involved in that? So much.
You got it.
You gotta do your job. 10% of the population was just murdered.
Yeah. Came from Gamberg speaking to Marty Smart, a therapist in Reno, Nevada. Apparently,
Dominating!
confessed to the murders in a session. The therapist reportedly told Gamberg that even he was surprised that the investigators at the time of the murders hadn't used that confession against Marty.
The therapist. So you're a therapist. Oh, I got some problems. Oh yeah, like I murdered 4 people. Okay, well I'll see you next time.
Dominating!
Go drive. Go to the police. You murdered 4 people in your town. Police go, okay. You drive back to Reno, and then you don't hear anything about it.
told someone to get the house and they did nothing. Do you really think you're gonna go back and follow up? Because if the police don't give a shit,
Dude, the FPS on this map is so bad.
Dominating!
Using a metal detector on your Teddy. The hammer matched the description of one that Marty had told investigators he'd lost. As of late November 2016, it was being tested for DNA or blood residue as a possible additional murder weapon. What in the world? Why is there so much just stuff dumped around here?
Because it's a shanty town, Ryan.
Ghost town, yeah, makes sense. You hear that?
Yeah, it's a car.
Oh. Maybe he dumped some stuff in the river down here.
River's rather full. I think on account of the monsoon.
I don't know if this is the actual pond that Marty Smart dumped his claw hammer in, but weird that he would dump a murder weapon when he left the other three in the house if it was him, in fact, who did it. Here's Sheriff Hagwood on the current status of the case. Quote, "There are people locally who know more than they've said, and I believe we've identified some of them, and we know who they are, and we know where they are, and I have every confidence that they either participated after the fact or they have first." End quote. That Hagwood said that there are at least 6 of these people in the house, all of which are alive. Who doesn't know who did it?
What do you suppose is in here?
It's probably just... I don't know what the fuck that is. Maybe it's like an old part of the chimney.
Looks like a Black Widow bite.
Smart and Bobo Betty. Hagwood said this, quote, "It's a theory that we are to the degree possible to conclude or dismiss. There's a disproportionate amount of evidence and information that tends to point in that direction." End quote. Yeah, we have a therapist. You have a therapist who said that he confessed. How many more forms do you need? As of now, nobody has been charged.
I'm gonna relaunch my game.
Arrest him.
Let's see if my FPS will be better now.
Quote, "Finally, I have somebody who cares. In the last 3 years, he's done more than the Plumas County Sheriff's Office has done in the previous 32 years. Major shame.
Well, yeah, I mean, her family was murdered, so...
No one seemed to do it. Yeah, collectively the whole time. Sheila personally believes that the murders of her family were carried out by Marty Smart and Bobo Betty. Final verdict.
I'm leaning toward Mike. I'm interested to see where this goes. I hope the boys get a break from this.
Perhaps one day, Hagwood and Gant...
Hey, how's everybody doing? Pretty good? Yeah? What's everyone doing for Halloween? Pretty sure a lot of us are
Dominating!
Okay, this FPS is unplayable. I'm just gonna call it here then.